While Teslas and the like make for good headlines, the reality is that even if every car on the roads today went electric, it wouldn't be enough to curb global emissions to avoid catastrophic climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions from transportation account for about 29% of total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. So what about the other 71%?
Buildings across America burn fossil fuels to operate. What we want to do is make that all electric. Instead of burning oil and gas to give us the energy and electricity we need, we want to do 100% clean energy, all electric. We want to turn buildings into Teslas. Just like a Tesla or an electric vehicle is all electric with no fossil fuels, we want to do that with our buildings. And if we can do it in one building, we can do it in all buildings. And if we do it in all buildings, we'll reduce 30% of US greenhouse gas emissions.
If such a reduction in emissions from buildings everywhere became a reality in the near future, the planet could potentially avoid the worst consequences of global warming. Donnell Baird is the CEO and founder of BlocPower, whose mission is to help America's building infrastructure go green.
We're a climate tech startup that turns buildings into Teslas. We rip out the fossil fuel equipment, heating, cooling, hot water equipment. We replace it with all electric equipment that makes buildings greener, healthier, and smarter all across America. We want every American to have a free, data-driven, clean energy recommendation for their building or their church or their school or their synagogue. So that's the first part. The second part is we got to help them raise the trillions of dollars that are going to be required to pay green construction firms to install clean energy equipment in every home and every building in America. We've been working with Goldman Sachs and Microsoft to develop a new financial product that allows us to finance or lease clean energy to all Americans, including the lowest income Americans. I started thinking about BlocPower, really, I was 22, 23 years old. I was a community organizer. I was trained by the same community organizing group that had trained Barack Obama. And I was walking around Brooklyn one freezing winter day. It must have been like 21 degrees Fahrenheit. And I looked around and all of the apartment buildings had their windows open. You could see the steam and the heat like pouring out of the windows because the giant apartment buildings and complexes were being overheated. And it reminded me of when I was a kid, we had to have our windows open in our apartment during the winter on very cold days because we did not have heat in our building. So we had to turn on the oven, open up the oven door, and then we had to open up a window to release carbon monoxide.
In 2019, New York City passed the Climate Mobilization Act, a commitment to right their wrongs. Nearly 70% of New York's carbon emissions are from their buildings, and the city aims by 2030 to cut their pollution by 40%. Building owners who don't meet the reduction requirements will be faced with fines, a penalty of $268 per every assessed ton of carbon over the limit.
What we're doing is trying to modernize energy efficiency in green buildings by building it right from day one, with software, with mobile computing, cloud computing, statistical analysis, machine learning, using the Internet of Things and low-cost sensors. BlocPower purchases clean energy equipment, we hire green construction firms, and we project manage them to install green energy equipment in every building and every home. When a building owner first is interested in working with BlocPower, we have them fill out a 10-minute quiz or survey about how the energy equipment in their building currently works. Our software system collects the data from the form. We start to run an analysis of what kinds of clean energy recommendations make sense for that building. The building owner gets a report from us that tells them what kinds of mix of clean energy equipment makes sense for their building.
While building owners may save money in the long run, the upfront investment in energy efficiency can be insurmountable for some. Based on data from the Department of Energy, the national average energy burden for low-income households is 3 times higher than for other households. One of the main reasons is that low-income homes are more frequently burdened with outdated equipment and other poor housing conditions that can lead to higher than average energy use and costs. Groundswell, a nonprofit renewable energy advocacy group, noted in an analysis that the bottom 20% of earners spend almost 10% of their income on electricity. That's more than 7 times the portion of income that the top 20% pays.
Most Americans don't have, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 laying around to convert your building to make it all electric. But if we can stretch those payments out over time and make sure that the monthly payment is lower than what you're currently paying for oil or for gas, then that's an attractive option for saving money and saving the planet.
This model is already being implemented in New York, Maryland, Colorado, and other states with incentive programs for solar panels, whereby low-interest loans allow homeowners to make monthly payments that are comparable and often less than typical electric bills.
I think to date we've raised around $100 million. We have been really fortunate to have some world-class investors. Salesforce is an investor, Goldman Sachs, the American Family Life Insurance Corporation. But there's $4 trillion of projects to do. There's $4 trillion worth of buildings to decarbonize across America. I think the most important thing that we're doing is recently we were selected by the city of Ithaca to decarbonize the entire city, meaning every building, no fossil fuels. We have an 8-year timeline by which we have to decarbonize the entire city. So it's the first city in America and the first city in the world to fully decarbonize. We know that we have 8 or 9 years to make massive interventions in the way that we operate and the way that our economy works in order to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. And if we can decarbonize all cities across America, then 30% of our greenhouse gas emissions will be avoided. And that means America will have led the world away from the worst consequences of climate change. And so we're feeling the pressure, but we're really excited to try and step up to the challenge.